Welcome to the podcast, Accounting, We Go Beyond the Numbers, from Ross Bueller Falk, a CPA and business advisory firm. I'm Kay Wagner, your host for this podcast series. You'll receive great business advice here, including accounting, tax tips, and a whole lot more that will help you grow your business. Here we go. Welcome to the podcast, Anthony. We're pleased to have Anthony Spataro with us today. Anthony is a CPA with Ross Bueller Falk. And how long have you been with Ross Bueller Falk, Anthony?
I have been with Ross Bueller Falk for almost a year now.
Before we go into what you're doing at Ross Bueller Falk, let's get a picture of your background and where you grew up and what you were doing before you came to RBF.
Okay. I grew up in York County, and I went to college at Penn State Harrisburg. After college, I worked in Harrisburg at FIA, followed by the Department of Auditor General's office. And while working, I was able to get the extra credits as well as pass the exam to now place me where I'm at today at RBF.
So you passed the CPA exam, and now you're at RBF. And what do you credit your interest in accounting to? How did you get interested in accounting as a career?
I think it kind of showed up early. When I was in high school, I took a couple of accounting classes in high school and seemed to have a knack for it. As well, my father was an auditor, so I kind of have the family background of being in accounting as well.
Okay, well, I'm sure he's proud of you following in his footsteps. So you came out of college, you had a couple of jobs, and now you're at RBF. Tell me about how you got acquainted with RBF and how you ended up working there.
While working in Harrisburg, I went to a PICPA event and met some of my fellow employees, my current fellow employees at RBF, and I was able to network with them and actually link up with them for an interview. And just learning about all of the different opportunities that RBF offered, it really intrigued me at that time and further interested me in pursuing a career with them.
What are some of the things that really interested you about RBF that you were hearing from the people who worked there that you got to know?
Some of the things I think included learning about the flexible work schedules that they offered, whereas there's no set time you have to be in or when you leave. It's more about getting your work done. RBF offered minimal overnight travel to our clients, which is a big component for me. I actually have a dog, so definitely very helpful there. And I would say the people. I've built great relationships with my fellow employees here, and we have a lot of fun inside as well as outside the office.
One of the things that I know about RBF is that when you work there, you have the opportunity to learn a lot of the different facets of a public accounting firm. When we talked the other day, we talked about some of the interests that you have. Do you want to talk about that and share that with us?
Yeah, certainly. So when I was hired, I learned that RBF treats their new employees by learning both sides of the accounting world in regards to tax and as well as auditing. And after the first couple of years here, when they kind of find their liking of which field they prefer, then you kind of more gear yourself towards that field or focus. And as of right now, I seem to be leaning more towards the auditing side.
Okay. So you come by that one honestly, with that having been your father's career too, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Talk to me about auditing and what it is about the auditing process that you really enjoy, and what are some of the things that RBF's clients should know about the auditing process and the different details of what you do in an audit?
I think what's really interesting about auditing is when you first enter the client's information, everything is a big puzzle. And as you go through, the different accounts and the different sections of assets and liabilities and owner's equity, you kind of start to put together that puzzle. You do work, within those categories to better understand what the client is all about. And then finally, you also do the accounting work in regards to the financial statements to help better present the statements in accordance with GAAP.
And what do you do when there are some inconsistencies? How does that work from an auditor's perspective? How much detail do you sometimes get into in the field?
So sometimes when there's inconsistencies with some of the information, we could create adjusting entries to better represent the information for that particular account or for that classification. Or when we're doing our audits, we do testing. And there's a couple of ways that we test certain accounts. It could be by asking for third-party invoices for that account. It could be for confirmations through banks, third-party banks, to help us have more confidence in what we're receiving. Or there's also the actual physical inventory counts that we'll do to ensure that, the balances are appropriately represented.
You can get really involved in terms of making sure that the statement that you end up with is really accurate, and there's a lot of work in the field that you can end up doing. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep, that is correct.
Good. It's almost like being a detective.
It really is. It's really finding all of the intricate parts, of a certain client and kind of understanding what they're trying to do, with each part.
What advice would you give to clients to really be able to prepare for a clean audit? What are some of the tips that you could give them?
I would say just the documentation overall. The more documentation you have of transactions, occurrences of events, the better informed we can be as auditors.
Okay, so that would be keeping good record, like you said, making sure that all the documentation is in order. Yeah, okay, good. What are some of are there any other items about RBF that you would want to share with us?
One of the things I've really have been happy with here is we're a tightly knitted group. We really enjoy each other's company, and it's a great team environment here. We always find ways to work together, and if someone's not understanding something, there's always someone there to help them understand that and to kind of encourage them and to further their learning. It's been a great quality that I've found here.
Well, great. It sounds wonderful. Anthony, I want to thank you for being on the podcast with us today. I believe that you have a tremendous career ahead of you, and I wish you all the best as you really find your way in the auditing side of the business. It sounds like you have a natural talent for it. So I wish you the best, and I want to thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kay, for having me as well.
That's it for today, folks. Visit rbfco.com, that's rbfco.com, for more information on accounting that goes beyond the numbers. This is your host, Kay Wagner, for Ross Bueller Fox. Our next episode is coming soon. Don't miss it.